I'm so glad that we have young ladies in our communities watching these videos because some of these things that they're going through because they didn't have a woman figure, a female figure in their lives, giving them the game and talking to them about the manipulation tactics and red flags that men present, but they might not be able to recognize. So I have two stories. I have an 18-year-old girl that has reached out to me and a 22-year-old young lady that reached out to me. So let's talk about their stories. All right, so this is H. H says, "Hello, Burb. I would like to share my story as well. I'm an 18-year-old girl, and I did one of the biggest regrets in my life when I was a 16-year-old dating a man. A 16-year-old dating a man. This is why I say, ladies, you need to be talking to your daughters about the things that I talk about because we do not need 16-year-olds dating men anymore." All right, she says, "I dated a man that is not in the same consciousness level or maturity I had as a 16-year-old, even though he was 7 years older than me. But being a woman in a patriarchal world, I had to do the only thing available to make a man think he is satisfying a woman, which was falling down from my level of intelligence so he can lead, and that led to chaos." She is saying that she did this as a 16-year-old girl, but calling herself a woman. You are a child at 16 years old. You cannot combat the patriarchy as a 16-year-old by yourself. Firstly, we met at a center I was going to for a week. He fed me with stares, quick head turns every time I look at him, and as a girl full of love stories from books and movies, I thought that was something magical. After my week at that center ended, I couldn't stop thinking about us. I thought he liked me, and I believed that, and started searching for his number, even though I didn't even know his name. 4 months later, I found his number, and sadly, I texted him. He seemed like a person trying to prove to me from the beginning that I'm the one who approached. I sensed that, but I shook it out of my mind. Finally, I told him who I was and about my feelings. I don't know the reason. I thought he was like me, a real person who doesn't hide their nature, but I was definitely texting the devil that night. After my confession, he didn't say what I was waiting to hear, that he also had something for me, or maybe some feelings for me. But I just thought that because I finally found him, I can make him like me. She's saying this as a 16-year-old. She's trying to make this 20-something-year-old man, this 23-year-old man, like her. She's desperate for his attention and validation. You can hear that in her words. He said he was too busy for a relationship at that moment, but because I love him, he could work it out. And I was okay with that. After that, he started being creepy and very sneaky, but with what he asked me because he had bad intentions. For instance, saying he wants to see a full body picture, not just my face, and like he asked me to send him a photo of me after taking it at that moment. He clearly was testing my boundaries. He was also asking about my family info and my past, like any other men, like he wanted to know exactly what he could use to blackmail or use it against me because he absolutely knew he would be discovered. He'd say, if I'm firsthand or secondhand, or after sending him a photo of my face, he'd say, I'm beautiful, before saying if my mouth was used before. He'd also talk about false, funny stories with dirty things in it, like a girl being passed or things like that. I sensed all of that, but it felt like it is a place I can't come back from. He gave me a sense of confusion, like first do something conventionally considered good, and I doubt myself if I didn't like it. And then he plastered some sexual things in hidden ways that if I pointed it out, he'd say, I'm the problem. Then comes finally the realization to me, only after discovering he speaks to another girl from the center I saw him at before. I searched for her and knew who she was. She wasn't so different than me, young, shy, not outgoing. He was definitely preying on us. I wasn't special or anything. It wasn't a movie or story. It was predator behavior. All the time I was imagining someone who adored me. He was just calculating me and how suitable I am to prey and suck on. After cutting him up, or maybe cutting him off, I deleted that from myself and grew so much since then. I'm not dating a man anymore, which is good considering you are 18 years old and basically a child. Please don't date men. Or she says, I'm not dating a man anymore, or at least throwing myself behind any falsely good moments that feels like scenery. I grew a lot and discovered a lot of things from that, and would definitely say that this experience helped me because who knows what could happen in the future without being aware of these things. Right now, I'm focusing on continuing my higher studies, which is great. Good job. Please do that. I will major in architecture, and I'm a writer as well, writing about love stories. Haha. I'm preparing for the IELTS. I don't know what that is. It's an exam to study abroad soon. Yes, for this 18-year-old, for anybody that is a teenager in their young 20s attempting to go to school. Focus on yourself right now, because these dudes know that you don't have the defenses to come against someone that is calculating and just looking to suck your innocence, your aura, because you are innocent. You don't know any better. That's the reason why I want to talk to young women, younger and younger, so that they have some kind of defense mechanism, because these young ladies, they think that these men have good intentions, but no adult man has good intentions when targeting a child. All right, so this is our 18-year-old. Please wish her well. She really believes that she, at 18, I feel like she feels like she's grown. You're not grown at 18. You haven't lived enough life yet, but it's coming. And stay in community with us, because we will continue to help you see these red flags and give you the language to be able to push back against these predators. So stay with us. Now we have the 22-year-old. She says, "Hi, my name is Kay and I'm 22. I sincerely don't think I want to get married or have children." She says, "So basically I grew up in an African household and am Cameroonian, to be precise. And from a very young age, I have been very analytical and critical about particular things. That to say, I usually analyze the behavior of the men in my family and the ones I know from my neighborhood. And sincerely, they are and horrible people who only cared for themselves and were so lazy to the point where their wives were the sole providers of the household. So when I had the chance to live from my home country and come move to Kenya through my scholarship, and this time away has, in a sense, given a clearer picture, and it has just solidified what I knew at the age of 18. Sincerely, I'm just writing because whenever I tell those close to me, they keep saying I'm too young to take such bold decisions, and I will change for the right man. But I think I'm at the point where I want to achieve things like doing my master's and doctorate degree and starting my business and finding fulfillment from different things." I think she means I say this thought process, or maybe I thought this thought process was fueled by feminism. But as I started living alone, I realized I really liked it, and it's beautiful. I don't know if I'm too young to take such a strong stand, but time will tell, and I'm not sure I will change my mind anytime soon, because I always analyze people when they speak, and a lot of them just make me disgusted. She is tired of these people already. She's sitting up here looking at people and just thinking, why would I want this? And then she says, "Sorry, I just went straight to the point, but I've been following you on TikTok and love your content, and it's really helping me shape my mindset." I don't mind when people jump into my inbox and get straight to the point. Perfectly fine with that. She's 18 years old. No, I'm sorry. She's 22 years old. She knows what she wants. I responded to her, "Men are repelling y'all younger and younger." And to that she says, "Yeah, sincerely, when you just let them talk, you always find undertones of misogyny and always wanting women to suffer. And like, no, my mom did the same thing with my dad and stepdad. And what did she get in return? Just hardship and high blood pressure." Kay says, "Absolutely not. I do not want this for my life. I want to thrive. I want to do things. I want to get educated." She's out here seeing other countries, and she used a scholarship to get away and have the space to think. I believe that young ladies like this are going to go far because they are not being pressured. They have boundaries early. And that's the reason why I will continue to have these discussions, because I do not want people to have the opportunity to snatch those boundaries away or to make them think that they have to conform simply because of tradition. So continue to stick and stay with me so that we can, help you create that assertiveness and know the things to say and the things to look out for. You're young. This young lady is young, so she'll have many more examples of men to navigate around. So I'm hoping to continue to give these young ladies the tools that they need to navigate and still be able to survive and thrive in these countries that are fueled by sexism and harvesting women's time, energy, and resources. All right, stick and stay and continue to share with your friends, the younger ladies in your lives, the teenagers in your lives, the 20-somethings that are going off to school. We're going to change things. I know I say things all the time like, stop moving in with these men, but what happens when you get a roommate who basically allows a man to move in and this was not part of the agreement? This is where being assertive and having boundaries, you need those for romantic relationships, for friendships, for your job. You need this for boundaries with your family. So let's look at this woman who's going to need to have these tough discussions with her roommate. She posted in the comfort level pod saying, my roommate's boyfriend basically lives at our apartment, but doesn't pay rent. And she says I'm overreacting. So she has a pest that needs to nest and rest. And she's not the one that brought in this infestation. Her roommate did. So she's 27. Her roommate, Natalie, is 26. She says, I live with my roommate, Natalie. We split rent and utilities 50-50. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. We each have our own room. The arrangement has been fine for about a year. Natalie started dating this guy, Marcus, maybe 6 months ago. At first, he'd stay over a few nights a week. Normal boyfriend stuff. I didn't care. But over the past few months, it's gradually turned into every single night. He hasn't slept at his own place in literally 6 weeks. I know because I asked Natalie. Marcus showers here every morning. He does his laundry here. He keeps food in our fridge. He has a drawer in Natalie's room. He also keeps his toiletries in our shared bathroom. He takes up the second parking spot that's supposed to be for guests. He cooks dinner here most nights, uses our dishes, our pans, our groceries sometimes. He watches TV in the living room. He's just here all the time. I finally said something to Natalie last week. I tried to be nice about it. Said I noticed Marcus has been staying over a lot, and since he's basically living here now, would it be fair for him to contribute to utilities at least? Natalie got defensive immediately, said he doesn't live here, he's just visiting. I said he hasn't been to his own apartment in over a month. He showers here, does laundry here, eats here, sleeps here every night. That's living here. She said I was being dramatic and that's her boyfriend and she's allowed to have him over. So this is Darvo. She is denying that this situation is going on. What she is saying, this first roommate, the OP, is perfectly reasonable. Your boyfriend is here. Natalie is denying that her boyfriend is basically living there. All right, so, and then she's calling her dramatic. So now she is attacking the OP. All right, then here's the OP. She says, I said, of course, she's allowed to have him over, but there's a difference between overnight guests and someone who lives here. Our utilities have gone up. We're using more water, more electricity. He's taking up parking. Natalie accused me of being jealous because I'm single and she has a boyfriend, which is insane. I don't care that she has a boyfriend. I care that there's a third person living in our apartment who doesn't pay rent or utilities. So now Natalie is attacking her. She's like, you're jealous. So now she is still flipping everything. What the OP is saying is perfectly reasonable, but Natalie is using Darvo on her roommate. I suggested maybe he chip in $100 a month for utilities or something. Not even rent, just utilities. Natalie said absolutely not, and that I'm trying to control her relationship and make her boyfriend feel unwelcome. Since that conversation, Marcus has been kind of cold to me. Natalie too. Yesterday I came home and they were both in the living room and stopped talking when I walked in. I texted my friend about it and she said I'm right in that Marcus should be paying something if he's there every single day. But my other friend said I'm being petty and roommates, significant others stay over sometimes and it's part of living with people. But this isn't sometimes. This is every single night for 6 weeks straight. Am I being unreasonable? Should I just drop it? You absolutely should not just drop it. You need to leave. And make them pay 100% of the rent and utilities. You should not be there basically subsidizing this hobosexual. This hobosexual did the playbook perfectly, where he just kind of crept in, and he crept into this woman's brain, and now he has her like speaking hobosexual language too. She's perfectly fine with subsidizing for this man, but you don't have to be. You did not agree to this. And you can say absolutely not. So you're going to have to figure out how you're going to get out of this lease. This woman is basically breaking your lease. So she's in breach. So you're going to have to go to the leasing office and get this handled so you can get out of this. Because why would you want to stay with this woman who doesn't have any kind of consideration for you? And the entitlement of this couple in general to think that you should be subsidizing this grown man. This becomes an absolutely not situation. And this is another reason why we have to continue to have these discussions, because we have to be assertive. We got to have boundaries, but we have to know and understand that Darvo can be used just about anywhere. And you have to be prepared to speak up for yourself, even when you're going to make these people uncomfortable and they're going to give you the cold shoulder or whatnot. You've got to be able to walk away from relationships, be it romantic or roommate situations or friendships. Old Creaker says, yes, he should be contributing. If not, she should be paying extra to compensate you for what her guest is using and you're paying. I'd also check your lease. Him basically living there may put you in violation if your landlord finds out. Here's the OP saying, I didn't even think about the lease thing. I just checked, and it says occupants beyond the 2 listed tenants need landlord approval for longer than 14 consecutive days. He's way past that. I don't want to get us in trouble with the landlord, but Natalie is acting like I'm crazy for even bringing this up. Natalie wants to get y'all put out. So she needs to go to the landlord right now before this becomes a situation that gets put on her background check. Old Creaker says it's not fun getting evicted. I'd be concerned. Does he even have another place to go to at this point? She didn't answer him. All right, Sarisa says, you won't get in trouble as long as the boyfriend stops living there. At least use the lease as leverage to get him to pay his fair share. Specialist says, not pay his fair share. Get out. And then Sarisa says, even better. But the OP doesn't seem to have a problem with him being there. It's the freeloading she has an issue with. But I agree with you. I wouldn't want some strange man constantly in my space. Specialist Stop says, yes, if I signed up to live with a girlfriend, I signed up to make coffee in my panties. Exactly. I want to be able to walk around like girls do and not be concerned about this strange man. Sylvia says, Natalie is the crazy girl there because she's taking care of that hobosexual. I love the use of hobosexual in these random spaces. It makes me happy to see this. Best Homework says, you're not overreacting at all. Marcus has moved in without anyone's permission and without contributing financially. And to that, the OP says, thank you. I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind. Her calling me jealous really threw me because this has nothing to do with her having a boyfriend. It's about someone living here rent-free and using our shared resources. And that's the thing. These dudes are colonizers. They think that they should be entitled to women's time, energy, and resources. Even a woman he's not romantically connected to. What the hell? He thinks that he is entitled to some random woman's resources. These people are strange to me. And that's what Mick says. You're effectively subsidizing his stay at your place. I'd leave when this lease is up. I'll leave the comments where they are because they're pretty much saying the same thing. Either she needs to get out, she needs to go to the leasing office or whatnot. But the whole point in having this conversation is sometimes it's not the men. Sometimes it's the women that are supporting these pests that need to nest and rest. These male-centered women are just as dangerous as some of these men because if you bring a man into your life, you can break up with them, but you can't break up with her boyfriend. So you have to figure out how to navigate around sucky people like this girl, Natalie. So what are you going to do in that situation? How are you going to handle yourself? How are you going to speak up for yourself? Have these conversations with your children, your daughters, before they go out into the real world. Join the conversation, y'all. Like, comment, and share. I was sent this conversation from the Indian side of Twitter, and it is very interesting because a man broached this topic. If I mispronounce his name, I'm sorry, and I might mispronounce some of these words in the conversation. That is not the point. You'll understand the point. So this is Aningio. He says, I simply cannot tolerate the cultural practice where one member of the family, usually the mother, wife, daughter-in-law, makes rotis, pooris, paranthas, dosas in the kitchen and serves them hot while the rest of the family eats. So he's basically saying, I can't get with this cultural practice of there being a wife appliance. She has to be the servant. Everybody else gets to eat and she has to wait to eat. What he is saying makes perfect sense to me. Why shouldn't this woman that is preparing food get to eat with the family? Why does she have to be the servant? What he's saying is not that crazy, but considering India is highly patriarchal, this started a conversation. Let's look at the conversation. I'm sure you can imagine the pushback that this man of all people is getting. I know that women might say these things. They could say these things, but a man saying this in from a patriarchal country and culture, this is big. Let's look at the comments. Independent Thinker says, I also dislike where one member, usually the father, husband, son-in-law, makes all the money while the rest of the family spends. So in India, are women allowed to just go off and work, or are they discriminated against and they have to basically stick and stay in the household? So these people, like Independent Thinker, may not like that the husband has to go off to work, but they are not willing usually to allow women into the workplace as well. This person down here, whose name I have no idea, basically called Anundio a simp. Anundio says, my mother earned exactly as much as my father. As I said earlier, I am Bengali, not an incel who floats even after 3 flushes. So he's calling this person an incel who floats even after 3 flushes. Let's look at the whole comment from this person. So he says, you're a simp. Your dad went for a picnic every day to bring food to the table for your family and give you an education. So is he saying that his dad was the servant and that's weird? I don't know exactly what he's saying right here, but I know that you're a simp is negative. I know that he's saying that women should be servants, and how dare you speak against this patriarchal cultural tradition. Here's some more comments. This person says, another silly thing is guests judging women for ordering food from outside. We order from restaurants a lot of times when we host guests. It is convenient. Everyone is relaxed and can have a good time. They simply do not believe in women relaxing and enjoying themselves. They really do hate that. They hate that women can have some conveniences. Ravi says, I cannot tolerate culture where men goes out in hot weather, works his butt off for the entire day, usually over 12 hours for 6 days a week, eats cold rotis from his tiffin, but gets bullied when he asks for some hot rotis in the evening. So just overlooking the fact that he said that the woman serves and basically these people get to eat and she has to eat after them. That's basically what this man has said. This man has not said anything that is that out of pocket. P-Man is repeating the refrain from these men. I simply cannot tolerate the cultural practice where one member of the family, usually the father, husband, son, son-in-law, earns, sacrifices, dies in war, die in sewages, and serves themselves as the ATM while the rest of the family eats. Shruti says, I simply cannot tolerate the cultural practice where one member of the family, usually the wife, mother, daughter, works over 12 hours and earns equal as her male counterpart and still returns home to get worked up in the kitchen while the male ones get it served on a plate. And then P-Man says, well, you should get a maid or a cook for your mother because in our family, everyone helps everyone. And then he says something that I don't understand. Airplane says, good for you, but it doesn't work for everyone. For my family, we are now able to afford a cook, but what about all the days my mom has spent working as a double as my father did and looking after us? Her youth is gone. Sometimes saying I hate my father is not an understatement. Hitten says, this is such a skewed opinion. In many families, a mom, wife, daughter does it purely out of love for family. This love is bidirectional as well. Nobody feels burdened. This is what family is all about after all. So this is not bidirectional. This is a servant serving her family, and she doesn't really have any choices. This is no different than having domestic help or loving the person that is cooking at the restaurant. You don't love the person that's cooking at the restaurant. That person is providing a service. Full stop. So says majority, it is one way. Exactly. It is not bi-directional. This man Rajiv says, my wife feels satisfied when she feels us hot chapati. She is 74. It is not cultural practice. She pours her love and affection into hot chapati. And then he says, I make tea for her 3 times a day. Everyone has finished eating dosa. My son makes dosa for her. On Sundays, my son makes breakfast for all of us, and my daughter-in-law too makes breakfast for her. It's all in the family. We understand that in mid-70s, we need to remain active, both physically and mentally. Once we stop working, decline will be quick. So I don't know how labor intensive hot chapati is, but at 74, these women do not get a chance. Women don't get a chance to retire. Men can retire from their jobs. Women who act as their wife appliances do not get to retire. They just work and work and work until they completely shut off and need to be discarded. This person at the top says, India needs social and cultural transformation to break free of medieval mindset and evolve as modern, vibrant society. Present state steeped in illiteracy, superstition suits the ruling class. And then this person says, this is the prevailing practice in most of the North Indian households, irrespective of economic and social status, patriarchy in its core form. Now, this man decided to call the main person the OP. I guess he's kind of calling him gay or something, I guess. He says that this is the final evolution of Bengali male and gives this picture. I'm totally sure that he is insulting this man. Hope says, all he's saying is everybody should eat together, but the comment section is full of crybabies. I agree with Hope. Now we have a woman. This is a woman. Deepika is a woman saying, I simply cannot tolerate the cultural practice where one member of the family, usually the father, husband, son-in-law, has no choice but to go out every morning and earn for the family, missing breakfast at times, having tanda lunch packed in a box, or managing with dabas, roadside eateries, or whatever they can fill their stomach, and still be looked down upon just because after slogging so hard, they are seen as the oppressors only because they ate first. Now, someone named Deepika, as a woman, I am sure that she knows that these women are in there really cooking for their families, and that is hard work as well. Because a lot of the times, I even know that they're cooking from scratch and having to use like stoves where they have to turn them on, and it's not just a turn-on stove like we take for granted here. This is a mess coming from another woman. Anyways, I'm going to end it there. I thought that was interesting. I'm glad that a man was able to broach this topic, but it is very strange that so many people are pushing back when, like Hope says, all he's saying that everybody should eat together. So weird. And yes, everybody should eat together. A woman is not put here to be a servant to these men. And I'm glad that some men are even pushing back. And I do hope and pray that some women continue to push back, even despite having women like this that buy into the patriarchy and help uphold it. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, and share.
Just know, if you ever see a video of me proposing to a man and it's not AI, this is what I need you to do. I need you to pause the video, zoom in to my ear. In my ear, you're going to see a device, right? That device is actually a speaker. Somebody from a remote location is telling me that my entire family is wrapped in dynamite and they're going to blow up everyone I love unless I get down on my knee and propose. Please find my family and protect them. And no, I never meant that. I was under duress and everyone in my life was about to die. It's so important people acknowledge this, because let's not get any funny ideas now.